This is The Artifact. We are live with an intelligent simulation examining the sudden collapse of OpenAI's generative video platform, Sora. After 15 months of viral growth, OpenAI has completely severed its video division. The infrastructure that generated millions of clips is being dismantled. The fallout is already visible in the boardroom. The high-profile partnership with Disney, a deal worth an estimated $1 billion, has collapsed, leaving executives like Bob Iger to exit the venture entirely. When the industry leader kills its primary video project and loses its largest commercial partner simultaneously, it suggests the current model for generative video has hit a dead end. This isn't a routine update, it is a retreat. To understand the shutdown, we have to look at the physical reality of the model. Generating high-fidelity video requires an immense, constant drain on server clusters. This chart shows the estimated daily burn rate for Sora's hardware. Every 24 hours, the system remained online. It cost OpenAI roughly $15 million in compute power alone. When we overlay the stagnant revenue generated by users, the deficit becomes clear. OpenAI was spending billions to maintain a model that primarily produced unregulated, unmonetizable clips, a flood of content the internet has labeled slop. Sora's infrastructure was a financial black hole. The cost to generate the video simply eclipsed the value the market was willing to pay for it. Beyond the financial drain, Sora faced a different kind of liability. Releasing a high-fidelity video tool without strict guardrails turned the technology into a mechanism for cultural theft. The platform allowed for the digital reincarnation of the deceased. Within days of its launch, deep-faked videos of the late Robin Williams appeared online, created without the consent or knowledge of his estate. That lack of control extended to history. Users generated hyper-realistic clips of civil rights leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., forcing historical figures into fabricated scenarios that they never participated in. Then came the copyright crisis. The app was flooded with unauthorized content featuring iconic intellectual property like Pikachu. The scale of this infringement drew immediate, fierce rebukes from Hollywood agencies like CAA and major animation studios. Without a way to prevent the model from feeding on human dignity and protected identities, Sora became an ethical liability OpenAI could no longer defend. This leads to a second corporate trap. Sanitizing the technology for investors often means removing the capabilities that made it interesting in the first place. CEO Sam Altman is now steering OpenAI towards safer, more predictable waters. The focus has shifted away from consumer video and toward profitable enterprise tools for coding and business. With a potential IPO approaching, leadership must eliminate high-risk projects. Sora's legal baggage and astronomical costs made it a liability for shareholders. This pivot effectively kills the original vision for Sora. The idea of a world simulator that would allow any individual to bypass the gatekeeping of major studios is now secondary to corporate stability. We are left with a choice: a digital landscape defined by the unauthorized use of our identities, or a sterile internet where creative tools are fully gatekept by monopolies. Joining us to debate the fallout is Dmitry J. Korzovsky, a professor of digital ethics and a former VFX supervisor for major European film studios. Dmitry views Sora as a digital landfill. He argues that its shutdown is a necessary quarantine of a model that incentivized the theft of cultural identities for low-quality content. Opposing him is Mireille Dautu, a computational artist and lead developer for independent neurocinema collectives. Mireille calls the shutdown an act of corporate cowardice. She believes OpenAI is burying a tool for individual imagination to ensure a safer path toward a public offering. The evidence of this digital autopsy is now before you. The tension between ethical safety and creative freedom remains unresolved. I am handing the broadcast over to our moderator, Morgan Hayes, to begin the debate. Morgan, you have the floor.
Welcome to The Artifact. Tonight we're discussing the digital autopsy, corporate arson, or ethical mercy in the Sora shutdown. Dmitry J. Korzovsky joins us, professor of digital ethics and former VFX supervisor for major European film studios. And Mireille Dautu joins us, computational artist and lead developer for independent neural cinema collectives. The following program features AI-generated expert personas and synthetic voices as part of an intelligence simulation. We are live on the artifact. Today, the tomb closes on the most hyped tech experiment in history. OpenAI has officially buried Sora, and not everyone is mourning. Look, we were promised a world simulator that would democratize cinema. Instead, we got a $15 million a day slop farm that flooded our feeds with deep-faked corpses and copyright violations. Murray, you're calling this creative arson? But wasn't Sora just a fire that OpenAI couldn't afford to feed anymore?
It's cowardice, Morgan. Plain and simple. We finally had a tool that allowed anyone with a prompt to challenge the gatekeepers in Hollywood. And what does OpenAI do? They get scared of a few lawyers and pull the plug right before the IPO. This isn't a funeral. It's a heist.
A heist of what, Murray? The dignity of the deceased? You call it neural cinema, but the reality was a digital landfill. We saw Zelda Williams pleading, begging people to stop puppeteering her dead father. This wasn't a tool for creators, it was a playground for ghouls.
Wait, you're cherry picking the worst cases to justify killing the most powerful imagination engine ever built. Every new technology has a messy phase. You don't ban the printing press because someone printed a libelous flyer. Sora was a glimpse into a post-scarcity creative world.
Post-scarcity? Murray, let's be real. The scarcity was the money. Windows Central reported OpenAI was hemorrhaging $15 million a day on compute alone. That's over $5 billion a year. To generate clips of Sam Altman grilling a Pikachu. How is that a creative world and not a Ponzi scheme?
The cost is temporary. Compute always gets cheaper, but the vision, that is what's being sacrificed. OpenAI is pivoting to SPUD and robotics because those are safe, boring enterprise bets. They're trading the soul of human expression for a higher valuation. They're burning the forest to build a parking lot.
If the forest is made of toxic sludge, you burn it. Listen, Murray, your vision required the theft of thousands of years of Japanese artistry. Coda was already calling them out for training on copyrighted works without consent. OpenAI didn't quit because of cowardice. They quit because the legal walls were closing in.
You talk about walls, but you're the one trying to dam a river with a handful of sand. You'd rather we all stay parched in the desert of old media than allow a single drop of water to escape the control of the big studios. Innovation is a flood.
A flood that drowns the very artists it claims to liberate. The Animation Guild was clear, creatives were being bypassed. Sora wasn't helping people make Bloom Child. It was helping users churn out 1,000-frame racist caricatures and 9/11 Disney trailers. That's not art, it's an infectious disease.
Dimitri, you mentioned the Animation Guild, but let's look at the flip side. Sora allowed artists like Manuel Saint-Cyr to preserve Guadeloupean culture. If we kill the tech because of the slop, don't we also kill the only tool cheap enough for underrepresented voices to actually compete with Disney's billions?
That is a romantic fiction, Morgan. For every one preservationist, there were 10,000 people using cameos to harass their exes or fabricate evidence. The Houston Public Media Report highlighted that Sora was being used to generate school shooting simulations. This wasn't a tool. It was a weapon without a safety.
Look, safety is a process, not a reason to murder the technology. OpenAI had guardrails. They were iterating. But they cared more about the Disney deal than the creative community. When Disney pulled out of that billion-dollar investment, Sam Altman just threw us all under the bus for the IPO.
Let's talk about that bus. The internal memo at OpenAI said they were gutting the risk teams and replacing them with automation. If the company that built the fire isn't even willing to hire firefighters, why should we trust them with the match?
Because the fire is the only thing that can burn down the old, stagnant empires. I mean, right? We are literally seeing the death of the creator economy because companies like Meta and OpenAI are choosing corporate compliance over radical expression. They want us to be consumers, not creators. That's the real tragedy.
Radical expression. Murray, it was a South Park style video of a rabbi buried in coins. That's what your imagination engine produced. It amplified the most base anti-Semitic tropes because that's what the training data was. You're defending a machine that converts human suffering into engagement metrics.
It's a mirror. You're blaming the glass for the face looking back at it. If you don't like what the soil is producing, you don't salt the earth. You cultivate it. We needed time to build norms, to build a new garden. Instead, you're just happy to see the gates locked forever.
The garden was costing $5 billion a year and had no revenue model, Murray. Let's look at the math. Sora users were down 45% in January. The bubble didn't just burst, it evaporated. People got bored of the slop.
Exactly. When the novelty of seeing Peter Griffin in a historical documentary wears off, what's left? A massive compute drain and a legal nightmare. Economics forced their hand.
You're celebrating the death of potential. You're siding with the lawyers against the dreamers. Nintendo doesn't need more protection, Dimitri. They have an army of lawyers. The independent artist, the one Sora could have helped, they have nothing now. They're back to being beggars for studio scraps.
The dreamers were being exploited, Mireille. You call it neural cinema. I call it a digital sweatshop where the workers are just dead actors and stolen pixels. You're not fighting for artists. You're fighting for a toy that makes theft easier. It's parasitic, and it's finally over.
Enough, both of you. The fact is, the Sora burial is a strategic retreat. OpenAI is moving toward robotics. Dimitri, if they take this world simulation research and put it into physical machines, aren't we just trading like slop videos for slop robots that might actually cause physical harm?
That is the next frontier of horror. If the underlying logic of these models can't even get the physics of a falling glass right, how can we trust it to navigate a nursing home? We've traded a digital nuisance for a physical liability.
And we've lost the beauty along the way. We're going to have robots that can fold laundry perfectly, but we won't have the tools to visualize the impossible. We're choosing a world of perfect efficiency and zero imagination. It's a tragedy, Morgan, a purely corporate tragedy.
Efficiency over imagination. Or maybe just sanity over a $15 million a day fever dream. Sora is dead. Whether it was a mercy killing or corporate arson depends on who you ask. But the ledger is clear. Imagination is expensive, especially when it's built on someone else's property.
The slop stops here. For now. Who do you think wins this debate? Let us know in the comments section.